Oh, fuck yeah, baby. We're back. We're back with some new price action. Bitcoin finally moving since, we've really been looking for about the same thing to be happening throughout this whole past week. In ever so slow motion, it is occurring. And I suspect that things are going to get started to really get underway. Maybe not today, but very likely over the weekend and leading into next week as well. We'll get into why that is. I see there's a lot of butt comments here today, which is very nice. A lot of, I see someone says, morning ass invaders. What does that mean? Does it mean morning to the ass invaders? Does it mean morning ass invaders? Or is it the ass invaders are morning? Who the fuck knows, man? Doesn't matter. Anyways, good morning to everyone out there in cryptocurrency land. I see a lot of familiar faces here as always. See Miss Sanaz, good to see you. Mr. Incredible, I see you as well, sir. An OG at this point. Craden C, Christopher Armstrong, Sniper. We got Jim Bob, great name right there as well, definitely from the south. And Guitar Wizard and Moon Raccoon. A lot of OGs back in this cave. Dr. J or DJ Dr. J. Yes, DJ Dr. J. Nice on the mound. Very nice indeed. I see some people talking about the impending death cross. Actually, I haven't even really been looking at that too much myself. Let's just verify this. Let's put on our death cross moving averages and see where things are actually at right now. So let me get rid of everything right here, or at least get rid of these, and let's see what this would look like. We're looking at the white versus the sort of light bluish color right here. Yeah, I suppose at some point, it will inevitably happen as long as Bitcoin it's kind of hanging around here, but this can get drawn out a bit, I suspect. I mean, this is still probably another week and a half to 2 weeks away, I would imagine, unless a Bitcoin just completely fucking falls off the cliff, like at this exact, in the short term, which I don't think, I still think we wait a few days, to be honest. But yeah, anyways, no matter which way you cut this one, yeah, I mean, it is going to be an inevitable thing. Is it always the best timer of a downside move? Not necessarily. In fact, we saw it happen a couple times throughout last year, and these were long-term sort of accumulation ranges. Does this one end up being the same? Who the fuck knows? But I would be expecting not anything super interesting to the upside for a while if that does happen. I mean, probably about a month or two out, which does correlate actually rather well with the stats that we were looking at on the hash rate indicator if that one does play out. But a lot can happen. I see Tobo. I see Steven Schickman as well. We'll get to those super chats a little bit later. I do want to let you know that today there's no Elsa. It's a no Elsa day. No girls allowed. We kicked them all out except for Sanaz. She can stay in. But everyone else, get the fuck out. It's men only. And that means I don't have my usual helper sending me the super chat request. So I just want to say at the beginning, if you are going to be sending in super chats, bear with me. I got to do it all by myself today, which is fine. But I'm probably going to make some mistakes here and there, as always. If the derp goes to derpity derp, is there a chance for dillies? Well, it depends what side of the market that you're on. If the herp goes to the derp and you're on the short side, yes, you will get many, many green dildos in your bank account. If, however, it is the opposite of that, you will get red dildos in your bank account in the form of deductions, of debits. Anyways. There's only one girl anyways. Yeah, exactly. James DeWeaver says Bitcoin ETA blew the trends forever. Bitcoin ETA? What's the ETA? I don't know. Not to mention the shitcoins. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching a lot of the shitcoins, have their own little collapses recently. I've been following this one a lot just because it had such a crazy pump. But Fartcoin right here, Fartcoin rallied up, I think, close to 250% off the lows. Yeah, 225% off the lows. Jesus Christ. Most things got a pretty impressive bounce, but not like that. Bitcoin bouncing more or less about a little over 10% off of the lows. This one just really overdid it. But a lot of these things going to be getting, or are in the process of getting, a nice mean reversion play. We like mean reversion because it offers up some pretty obvious things. Anyways, I'll put back on my main tools right here yet again. There we go. And everything is once again back in order in the universe. My OCD is not is not hounding me. I see Meekers Media says Bitcoin is acting like that fat kid shitting in the pool and thinking no one notices. Oh, we know. Yes, we know where the bodies are. Yeah, man, it's very interesting to me. Because while you think that, and perhaps a lot of people in the community think that, and I think that as well, to be fair, it seems like the social media is mostly on the other side. We briefly went over this yesterday, but things, whenever you type in Bitcoin on YouTube, it's mostly bullish, certainly leaning on the bullish side. I see there's one bearish thing right here from Benjamin Cowan. You can always count on him to post a bearish thing, but does deserve some recognition there, of course. But I see Bitcoin is about to explode. Here's why. But without the side, but explode to the upside, right? It's like that meme with Anakin and Padme, and it's like explode to the upside, right? Right? I don't know about that, at least not yet. Anyways, 100x decade just beginning. That's good news. That's good news indeed. We've got a long ways to go for the decade. And yeah, some reversal signals right here. Again, probably on the wrong side of that one, but fair enough. It does seem like YouTube is still on the very much bullish side, which is fine. I mean, we don't expect everyone to get it right all the time, of course, but it can be a good indication of sentiment and where things are at right now. Another girl is here. Who is it? Where is she? Oh, we have Annabelle. That sounds like a girl's name. Good morning to you, Annabelle. And Nikki Page. Nikki Page, I know, is a girl as well, and she is very much welcomed here. Everyone act cool. We have some girls in the house. Let's try not to scare them away. But just having a little bit of fun. See, ambitious again, man. If you're sending in super chats right now, I have to save them myself, so I will actually do that right now. But I just want to warn people in the future because I am doing it myself today. Probably going to make some mistakes here and there, so bear with me. Feel free to remind me with a regular chat as well. Like if I miss something that you said, and you send in a super chat, because I do feel like, of course, if you're putting money towards it, of course, like I want to be respectful of that. So I've got them saved over here for at least those two. Good. All right. Very nice. I see Winston Wolf. Good morning to you as well, sir. Anyone have a breath mint? No, but I have a breath indicator, and it's not looking good. It's not looking good, man. Oh, Sean provided some context for that. He says Ben Cowan is actually saying that the upcoming death cross is usually around a local bottom. Yeah, I mean that does tend to happen during bull markets, and hopefully that would correlate well with what I'm looking at on the hash ribbons indicator. But again, the problem with being reliant on, or it's not the problem with being reliant on. It's just the beautiful thing about using that hash ribbons indicator in the way that I've been showing is that it's not because it's a guaranteed fucking move. It's because it offers a very obvious risk and reward profile with a very obvious risk management area, meaning that if Bitcoin does close below the current lows of March, which is 76,000 and change, then something else is massively going on, and we should be expecting a lot more downside. In fact, I wanted to, while we're here, this is going to be a part of the actual analysis, but I did want to point out this. I haven't really been looking too much at the MACD in general, but there is one thing that I love the MACD for, and it is for looking at the monthly time frame and judging the very, very long term, because it's been very consistent here. And any time that we've seen a downwards cross from these extreme levels on the monthly MACD, I mean, that has essentially been game over for years, or at least like a year, I suppose. And that's pretty much been perfect. There's only one time where that did not work out. It was during, of course, the Black Swan in March 2020. That would be Corona dump time. But even then, I mean, things did dump off 50% from there. So it's like, was it wrong or was it right? I would say it was actually right in that event as well. But yeah, the issue that I have with this is that while the cross has been a really good indication that the market cycle is over, it obviously happens after the highs are in. I mean, this last one that we saw from January of 2022 was in January of 2020, was officially happened in, yes, January of 2022. The highs were put in a couple of months earlier than that in November. It's like, are we getting the same thing over here as well? I hope not. As of right now, though, it would take a lot to actually get it to cross down. Of course, these numbers will change when we see the next open for, what's the next month? April? Yeah, April. But as of right now, as long as Bitcoin's above 46,650, it'll still remain in the upside direction. We'll see where that number comes in for next month. I can't imagine that it jumped up that much, to be fair, but we'll see. Whatever the math is what the math is, and we'll go on from there. Anyways, I'll still give it a few more minutes for people to join in. I do expect today actually maybe a little bit more than usual, just because things have been kind of moving in the short term here. More than what we've seen perhaps throughout most this week. After Bitcoin nearly hit $90,000, but again, this is the area that we've been looking at for a while now. That is a high probability for a lower high. The question is, does it make a new low or not, or does it make a higher low? And the higher low would be very, very obvious if it does indeed happen to get bullish on. But things shall take their time as usual. Anyways, Creighton says, Ben usually says right before the cross, you get final damage. Then at the cross, it puts in a low and moves up into it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time when you get any sort of moving average cross, price likes to rally into it first before playing out in the trend direction. But not always. I mean, of course, at some point, it does fail. Anyways, Glenn Hoddle says, people have been saying 3 out of the last 5 buy signals on the hash room has failed, and we got a new low. They're retarded, actually, because they don't. It's like, dude, use your fucking brain, man. You can see it for yourself right here on the chart. It has not. It quite literally is not. We had one from 2024. Obviously, this one worked out. Bitcoin was essentially straight up after that. Same thing over here. This was literally the low. So, okay, so 2 out of 2 of the past ones definitely worked. Then we have this one over here. This one did produce a new high. Yes, over a long enough period of time, it did fail, but it did produce a new high of about 50% from that signal given. Same thing over here. Same thing over here. So actually the last one that really failed was back in 2021, still produced a nice upside move. The one that failed before that was actually preceding the Rona dump, which again was a black swan. So you kind of expect, indicators to fail during an event like that. Again, in hindsight, I mean, it would have been a great buy, to be fair, but yeah, man, this is the problem with borrowing. I really like what Rouse has said, because he's the one who came up with this that I'm taking it from, but there's a big problem with borrowing conviction from other people, on the internet. It's that you don't go through the rigmarole of doing your own fucking, analysis. That's why I like to show things as they happen. So for the people who are listening, they can see and you can make the judgment for yourself, whether it's relevant or not. My interpretation might certainly be wrong, but yeah, in this case, it is not. And it's easily identifiable that's not true. That's not true what these herpity derps have said. I'm not saying that this current one can't fail. I mean, it is, if any one of them is going to fail, I think it'd be this one, to be fair. But yeah, as of right now, we don't necessarily have that. Round Earth says, we gon' gal again to the Moongaloo. I would like to go to the Moongaloo as well. I think we were actually on the Moongaloo a little bit earlier. We were just under $90,000. That's on the moon. That's on the moon, indeed. unless if you got into crypto, or unless if you got into Bitcoin in the past couple of years, then maybe not so much. But certainly if you've been here for more than like 3-4 years now, then this is the moon. This is good enough. This is good enough. We can just all agree to stop trading, just accept the price as where it is, and we can all just go about our lives. Like $90,000, pretty fucking good. Like we did it. We did it. It's looking fine. Anyways, Chris Ubel says, Krown, been here since Bitcoin was 2,500. I know, because I recognize your name, because I recognize all of the OGs, and thanks, man. It has certainly been fun. Hopefully some of that was positive as well, and awesome, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And Bear Nutrition, good morning to you as well. Our lovely moderator, good friend as well. I see the Pimpin' Grandpa. The Pimpin' Grandpa says, Krown, would you accept a role as the Zohan in a major Hollywood production? I don't know about my acting abilities, but perhaps we could do. SRP says 95 to 96,000 is still possible. Everything is of course always still possible, but is it probable before having a decent downside move, like somewhere between 5 to 10% first before something like that? I would say, yeah, you're going to be on the wrong side of that. Very, very likely. I don't think Bitcoin, this is, I really avoid saying words like, this is obviously, or this is like, implying that it is a no brainer. But I mean, this is a fucking local high right here. Just like, holy shit. Again, throughout this whole week, we've been looking at this area as the area to pull back from. And so, there's no surprises here. It's just taking a long time testing patience, and I think it'll still take a little bit of time into next week. But yeah. But is your bush the biggest? My bush actually is quite big. If I don't trim it, if I don't fade it up. Know your options. Doesn't want to cut in style hair. Nope, don't do it. There won't be none of that. I see. Is Ryzen greater than AMD? I think Ryzen is AMD's product, isn't it? I like Intel, to be honest with you, man. I really have not had too great of luck with AMD products. So you're probably asking the wrong person, to be honest. The moon cycles, no wall. In fact, you've already read my mind, sir. It was going to play a little bit of a part in today's video. But yeah, the moon cycles are about to fire off. The bare moon. The bare moon is coming, and it's coming actually upon tonight's closure. Oops. Almost dropped my Whoop charger, my very my very prized possession. What's up, Mr. Raymond Maskant? Good morning to you, sir. Everyone manifest the Bitcoin pump. That's right. We just need to manifest, and then it will all come true, and we will just be rich just by thinking. And every time that someone denigrates you or talks shit about you, that's just you making another $5,000 in your bank account. It's that fucking simple, man. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules here. Anyways. All right. I'll read through a couple more of these, and then we'll get into the actual analysis of the day. Carter John says, Krown, hug me and kiss me in a non-sexual way. I'm really scared. That's right. We can all hodl hands together, but we will be praying to Bear Jesus, at least in the short term, rather than Boolah Jesus, because Boolah Jesus, well, he's I don't know. I think he's in the process of resurrecting, but that comes a little bit later, I think. Anyways, what else do we have before we get into this one? How much of Bitcoin is aluminum and foreign car parts? I couldn't tell you, sir. Yes, you just have to think rich. Oh, Jesus. All right. I think that is actually, yeah, okay. That's where we can start from. I'll record this one as well. I think it would be good time for me to upload this one as well as like its own standalone video a little bit later. I should also let everyone know here as well, just really, really quickly that, hold on, let me pull this up with an example, or actually, shit, I don't have an example, but if you do sign up to the Blofin link in the description below, you can actually also get access into my very basic, very beginner crypto trading program that we do with the crypto school over there. But yeah, again, that's 100% free. You just have to sign up with an exchange account. You don't even need to use exchange account. I mean, I'm probably not supposed to tell you that, but you don't actually need to use it, although it is a pretty damn good deal just because it is going to be giving you 15% cash back, which effectively is a 15% fee reduction. And exchanges just don't even do that anymore, so any fee reduction is something that I'm like massively a fan of. Anyways, smash the likes and show your love for Boolah Jesus. Boolah Jesus has forsaken us. I'm switching teams. Yes, let's tariff the Bitcoins. All right. Let me get my notes out here, and let's make sure that we go through this one by one. And what are we going to name this? Major support has been tested. Is it time to panic or is it time to buy? And as we go over today's video, the short-term lower high that we've been looking at for Bitcoin is still very much in play here. If you want the 5-second analysis, it's that, hey, look, Bitcoin is topping out exactly at the area that we were looking at, anywhere between 88,000 and 90,000 bucks. And we should be expecting another downside move in the more short/medium term here, probably leading into next week, this coming week, by the way. This one's being recorded on March 28th. But as it stands right now, Bitcoin is coming under pressure, and we are seeing several things that are further confirming that Bitcoin is going to play out, or very likely to play out. I shouldn't say is going to, because of course there is always a non-zero probability of something weird to happen. But in this case, this is looking rather likely. We can see several things, but I'll start off with the most important thing right here. And that will be, of course, the moons, the bull moon, which saved Bitcoin on the lows and produced nearly a 10% rally, is nearing its end. And now we are about to get the bear moon, the opposite but equal moon in this case, and that's going to be coming in later tonight. If you've been following this for a while, I probably don't need to explain it to you. If you're new to this, you probably think I'm a crazy lunatic who's lost his fucking mind. Why are you looking at the moons, you idiot? You fucking moron, you. And there's probably some validity to that. But just visually testing it right here with your eyes, you can see very, very clearly that more often than not, these things actually do seem to play with each other. Not always perfectly, but more often than not. And the example that I always like to bring up is, I have to humbly ask myself, like, would have traded better than just simply doing this? And sometimes no. It's like, Jesus Christ, maybe it really is just the moons. No. Anyways, let's get into some actual technicals here, and we can start off with, of course, the daily time frame. Daily time frame stochastic momentum is going to have a chance to literally freshly cross down, essentially at the top of this rally after a 10% move for the first time in a couple of weeks since the middle of March, and that will officially happen later today, assuming Bitcoin closes anywhere below 87,300. So you're going to see not just a local high confirmed, but also a lower high and momentum turning down. And again, this is all secondary, or I guess in combination with, of course, our bias right here. Our bias on this channel has been, well, a trend bias, and the trend is down as long as Bitcoin is below the last trending lower high, which is 92,800. So again, whenever I see something like that, it's like, okay, it's time to be looking for shorts or at least looking for, lower highs. Doesn't mean that things will always continue in that direction. Of course, every trend has an expiration date, but until that expiration date comes, it's always more likely to continue just by the sheer definition of it. So looking at this right here, we have low BBWP, so low volatility, indicating that, a decent move is incoming alongside a fresh cross to the downside, very likely coming later tonight around an extreme level after what appears to be a sort of bearish reset on this. On top of that, we can go into Farcoin. No, let's go back to Bitcoin. We can go into Bitcoin over here, and we can see very obviously that hidden bearish divergence is now really starting to formulate. We called this out yesterday and the day prior on both the 12-hour and the daily time frame, and I suspect that this is, again, it's going to be confirmed with any sort of closure, especially below about $86,000 before end of day. And very, very likely, we'd at least see Bitcoin close to $80,000. Maybe it goes all the way back down, below $80,000, but we'll discuss the more long-term implications a little bit later. Anyways, for right now, I also wanted to bring this up as well. The tether dominance chart, which was indicating a bounce yesterday, and likely playing inversely as it typically does with Bitcoin. And this one is going to continue to bounce, and I expect that this one does trade a little bit higher. We've already hit the 5.25 target. I do expect this one to get at least like 5.40 to 5.5%. And then if it is going to be another lower high, that's probably where it comes from. But we do see that there is hidden bullish divergence forming on this current low. So I'd give it a chance to really rally up here. I mean, I want to be very fucking clear, despite everything that I've been saying about the hash ribbons indicator, this is a time to be certainly more guarded and more skeptical, and just more like be fucking safe during this time, because things really can fall apart if Bitcoin does come back down below the March lows. And one of the big reasons why I also want to call that out is because over here on the monthly MACD, we are starting to see this thing come back down like kind of aggressively. And the monthly MACD crosses have accurately predicted the end of every market cycle before tremendously large corrections pretty much every time, except for one. The only time where it did not work in that fashion was, of course, from the March 2020 saga, the old Corona dump. Of course, that was a bit of a black swan, but even then, I mean, things did come 50% down from there. So you might even say that was even fulfilled in that case as well. So the problem with this is that when we have seen the cross happen, it is actually indicated that the highs were in, a couple bars before then. I mean, we can see the most recent one in Jan of 2022. Obviously, the highs were a couple of months earlier than that in November of 2021. And then, of course, same thing over here in 2018. This one happening actually decently after the highs were put in. But again, did still get a nice more than 50% move to the downside from that, from that time. And it was a really good indication that it's not a good time to be looking for long-term longs or anything like that. So I'll continue to keep an eye on this. As of right now, obviously it's not like super concerning because it's not going to cross to the downside, especially on this next tick, but we'll see where the next pivot is as far as what would require what price would require to actually cross this one to the downside. Right now, coming into the end of March, it is is 46,650. I think it's very likely Bitcoin's going to remain above that, of course, but we'll see what that number moves up to in April. I can't imagine that it's going to raise up like that much, but worth keeping an eye on, because if and when that does happen, I think, it's going to be better to be a lot more defensive here. Anyways, back into the hash rate indicator. So coming back into the sort of like later on in the medium term / early on in the more long term, technically we do have a setup pending right here. And as we said before, this hash ribbon's buy signal is not an immediate call to action ever. Almost always things do come back down around that last prior low. In this case, Bitcoin's last prior low was 76,650 or so. Let me just double check on that. Yeah, 76,700. That does mean that we have a very obvious area to flip around that long-term bias from, okay, this is an opportunity to this is an opportunity for a major short. Still an opportunity, I guess. But, if Bitcoin were to close below that low, at that point, I really do think you're going to see Bitcoin, obviously at $60,000, but very likely down to $50,000. At that point, I would also have to imagine that the monthly MACD really does come into play, and maybe we got some, even more dangerous to deal with. But, until that happens, I would still run with the assumption that, the lows are very likely in, despite Bitcoin likely to come back down close to those lows. We just don't want to see closures below, again, that 10th of March low. As long as that condition is not met, then there's still hopium that the bull market is on, and that this pullback that Bitcoin is witnessing here is going to be an opportunity. So we shall see. We shall see indeed. And of course, it is essentially the last trading day of the month. Actually, let me just double check. Oh, sorry. Okay, I apologize. It is actually Monday. Yeah, I should have just checked my calendar right here. As it stands right now, monthly, let me actually go to the monthly RSI. Let me go back on over here. Yes. Okay. And there we go. When we go to Bitcoin and we go on the monthly, if Bitcoin were to trade below this quarterly low coming into the second quarter, and again, that's essentially the March lows, 76,700. This is going to start to look like a local high. And if that's a local high, then it is a higher high on price with a much lower high on our quarterly RSI momentum oscillator. That would be bearish divergence. And that is what has stopped our last few market cycles, actually. So again, a very obvious pivot. It's, if you're going to be bullish and you don't think that the cycle is over, I don't think Bitcoin survives coming back down below the March lows. So hopium remains as long as Bitcoin's above the March lows. The second that it comes down below and closes below there, big fucking problems. Big fucking problems for a long fucking time as well. Anyways, I think that's a good place for me to leave off on this video. Just continuing on with this thread of analysis. Of course, if you find this content valuable, if you just want to be updated every day with my thoughts for better or worse, then of course, consider liking and subscribing. It's free to do. And it gets, it tells the YouTube algorithm to promote these videos to you so that you can actually get them on time. Because I do know that that's been a bit of an issue recently. On top of that, I should also let you know that we have the last, probably should have said this at the beginning, but we have the last couple of days left of our sale, which is 20% off of any one of the programs or services that you can see in the Teachable link in the description below. That code is year 7, year in all capitals, and then 7. I have seen that it's some people have been having issues with that. If you have an issue with it, just email Elsa and we'll figure it out. And then of course we also are offering a 30-day free trial for all of our indicator services. That being the Caretaker's full indicator bundle, that being the Quant Prime service, which allows you to create, test, and automate your trades. And then of course the VMP and even the quantum wave bands, which is more or less a done for you strategy. You can try that out for the first 30 days for free with the code trial in all capitals. Anyways, that's enough showing for right now. As always, I want to wish you the best of best. Take care, much love, and we will continue on with the live stream. If you want to join in at a later time, then we do these on Tuesdays and Fridays. See you next time. Very nice. Okay, beautiful. Forgot to plug it in. Forgot to plug what in? Forgot to plug what in, sir? There's many things that I've forgotten to plug in, or how to even do that. But yeah, bro, should I ape into the crypto metaverse? What's the ticker on it? I mean, I'm guessing probably not, but I think it's gonna be I'm actually quite excited for today's video, or sorry, for today's live stream, because I want to see, can anyone find a bullish crypto chart? What's up, Clown World? What's crapping in, Krown? Yes. What's crappening indeed? What's crappening? All right, let me get to the super chats here. Again, I am without Elsa today, so unfortunately, I don't have my usual helper sending me super chats, so I'll do my best to reference all the ones that I can see here. Actually, before we do that, I completely forgot to show this on the video, but I do want to show it right now. MetaSignals doesn't just fire off long setups; it also fires off short setups. And if you recall, Bitcoin's long setups both hit at least target one for this past week. That's the high probability one. Everything above that is more or less a coin flip. Now, this one is a downside setup, and this one has obviously already hit target number one and even number two. Target number three is a death sentence, and it is low probability at about 30% or even under 30%. But hey, it is on the board, and this one's already exceeded those first two targets, like it ain't nothing, especially when target number two gets overshot like this. It's kind of a sign, I guess. But yeah. Anyways, okay, let's get on to the comments here. Okay, so first things first, we got Stephen Schickman. As always, he's looking at Doggy versus Bitcoin. Yes, let's look at this. Can't imagine this one's looking good. And what do you know? Not looking good. Another lower high and a series of lower highs. It's almost as if trend matters. Here's the problem with me getting super bearish on this. I don't think that you're going to be making new lows below your March lows, to be honest. I'm still looking at this area as a likely area for a sort of reaccumulation. Anywhere back down around here is completely fine. And I'm still looking for the large lines to generally play out in this fashion where it's going to be, sideways with your bounces for a while. At least Dogecoin does have a bit of a history of creating higher lows from market cycle to market cycle, and even versus Bitcoin, it actually has created a new range as well. So I do look at that as, I guess, good for the long term, as crazy as it does sound to say. But in the short term, does it come back down close to these lows? I think so. Yes, I do think that it's going to be coming close to these lows. Maybe even it does trade lower than the March lows, but just don't want to see it below this bottom channel right here between 154 to 164 Satoshis. That kind of keeps the long-term Bulaw's hopes alive. So yeah, fair enough. You also asked about the monthly. Yeah, I'd say the same thing about this as well. It's I'd give it a chance here to accumulate between 500 to the upside versus 160 to the downside. And just realize it's a very long-term thing. This thing's not going to be reversing, to new highs or anything like that anytime soon. All right. Ambitious World says the monthly accumulation distribution indicator seems to have started ranging, running the TL, running the timeline from 13 and 18 peak. Trend line. Okay. Yes. Let's bring this up and we should look at this together. Yes. Okay. It's just, I completely fucking forgot what it was. It's been a long time since I've really looked at it. Is it ranging? I don't know if it's ranging. I think personally for me, I have lost faith in this. In fact, you haven't really heard me bring it up in a long time because of that reason. For example, this one turned down with its first negative slope, which typically is an indication, or at least has been an indication in the past, of the changing market cycle. And that happened in August of 2024. It would have been a terrible move, in hindsight here. Anyways, I'm guessing you're talking about this trend line here, governing the highs. It depends how you draw it. I'm drawing it here as a regression, essentially, just a best fits line. And so, okay, maybe, that was the high. I don't know how much to trust this, to be honest, though. But yeah, or actually, sorry, you're taking that in a different way. You're saying, hey, the trend line is here. It must get to the trend line. Otherwise it's not over. No, of course that's not true, because we literally saw that condition not met back in 2021. I mean, lower high there was a significantly lower high here compared to the prior cycle of 2018. So I think that this really only works as a regression. And if it works as a regression, then, that was essentially the high right here, I guess. But yeah, I don't put too much weight on this indicator anymore. So, take that with a few grains of salt. We got Tobo next. He's looking at Tesla, daily, weekly, monthly. Yep, we can do that one. Or actually, let me go to a different chart here. I don't want to look at this one, to be fair. Don't think the accumulation distribution matters too much for this one. Let's see. Yeah, so Tesla, as far as the long term goes on the monthly, it did have a very, very nice off of the green 55 exponential moving average. So I do still look at this as an overall uptrend being respected. And long term, to have to look at that as generally good. Does that mean it's going to fucking shoot up to the heavens and beyond in the short term? Probably not. If we go back down to a daily, it's similar to Bitcoin here. I do, it just barely missed our $300 target from earlier this week. I would say that's close enough in this case. I think that this one's coming back down alongside, most of traditional markets. At least fills the gap around 250. Maybe it comes all the way back down to this low, but I actually am hesitant to say that it will create a new low. I still think that this is an opportunity anywhere between, 250 and 225 region for like a very, 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 very long-term play. But in the short term, I think you are range bound here at best, and next move is a short-term downside move. Now that I recognize that 250 is also the weekly 200 simple. So, kind of an obvious area right there. If it is going to be bullish, then we do expect like a bounce into reversal there. Not necessarily a reversal into like a full on trend to new highs, but, carry on with some sideways probably for like a year, and then maybe give another try. Okay, maybe not a year, but you get the idea. All right. Let me see what I can pull up over here. Or actually, no, this is the easier way to do it. Okay, let's go back, see what I missed. Okay, wow, I missed a lot, actually. I see Sanaz over there as well, but feel free to have a message as well. Okay, yes. All right. Dr. Checkmate says CRDF stock. Nice. I very much appreciate that you specified it is indeed a stock, CRDF. Cardiff Oncology. All right. Not good. Not good, and it's never been good, to be fair. This looks like a nice top being formed right here to me. Short term, I think that this one comes back down to at least meet the 21 here at like 310. Does it actually break there and come all the way back down to the lows at like 2.25? I don't know. At least I wouldn't feel confident just like blindly stating that right now. I do think a little bit of short term downside. I guess hopium is still alive as long as you're above basically $3 for a low there. So short term down somewhere around $3. Let's see what the bounce is like. If the bounce brings it back above $4.50, then I would actually look at this as actually reversing into a really big move on the quarterly, probably back around your 2021 highs, if that were to happen. But it's going to be fucking tight here, I suspect. So we shall see, sir. We shall see. This next week, I think, is really fraught with peril, not just for crypto, but also for stocks as well. Like, if we're going to see some downside, I really do think it is between this period and the second week of April. So it's kind of like survival mode right now, at least in the way that I kind of look at it. So we shall see. Anyways, No Reason says STX Daily Weekly. Sure, man. This is Stacks. This is Bitcoin, this is the wrong one. This is like Bitcoin DeFi or DeFi on Bitcoin, something like that. It's a cool idea, but as far as charts goes, I mean, it's not super super appealing. I mean, let's see. Do we even have a chart for this one? The LARP lines, they have played out. You could say didn't get a bounce though. I mean, kind of. Oh, well, fair enough. Anyways, short term, I do think that this one's coming back down close to the low, similar to Bitcoin. So that's like 63 cents to 60 cents even, somewhere around there. Is it going to create a new low below your March lows? I hope it doesn't for your sake, to be honest. But when I look at the quarterly, when I look at the monthly, it does make me think that it will actually break down. Yeah, but let's come up with a more objective way of defining a breakdown. Weekly closure below 58 cents. And then, at that point, I'd have to say this thing comes back down to like 30 to 35 cents. But, until that happens, I would still give it the benefit of the doubt, just like I am for Bitcoin as well. I don't want to get super, super bearish in these areas here, for like a long-term move until really proven otherwise. Cause this quarterly right here, like that's a big fucking deal. And that could easily break down. Yeah. To 30 cents. I mean, if it does lose that low, so give it some time. would like to see a greater rally than this first. Like something like this is what I really like to see for this. Come back down here, okay, and then do something like that. Put in a bigger bounce, and then if it's going to break down, okay, later. But give it a chance to bounce first. I mean, these things have been so fucking beat up. It's actually, I think it's actually just rude, in my opinion. This thing is down from the December highs. More than 80%. Jesus, man. Yeah, no rest for these shitcoins, I guess. Anyways, moving on, we got out of time 247. It says VINC stock, please. I know not your cup of tea. Just want to know what you think. I don't know. Is it my cup of tea? Well, as far as charts go, yeah. I hate charts that look like that. I mean, just this is fucking garbage, man. Absolute garbage, sir. Absolute garbage. Drop the nuke. We need to nuke this shit. We need to nuke it, indeed. And there she goes. Yeah, this thing. I mean, look, the only reason to ever play something like this, in my opinion, is that you have insider information. And I don't have insider information, and maybe you do. I mean, maybe you work for this company. I don't know. I mean, perhaps you would know something, going on in the background. But to me, this is just a death spiral long term, and I would never expect any like real uptrend to emerge, or at least not anytime soon. I mean, this thing is just heavily, massively, structurally bearish as long as you're below $10, and that's literally more than, it's about a 20x from where price is right now. Here's your regular chart. I mean, this is just garbage, man. This is just garbage. Your only hope, in my opinion, for something like this is that you get one of these one-off pumps that quickly turn into dumps. So, if it did happen, and if it did trade up to, like, let's say, I don't know, like $30-$40, that would be a crazy play. But that's like insider shit, not like TA shit, because TA is just going to tell you this is fucking bad, man. Bad, and only going to get worse over a long enough period of time. Probably get these pumps out of nowhere, I guess, but good luck anticipating those. Very, very difficult game to play when you're buying a falling knife. In fact, I've actually been on a book spree recently. I was listening to Peter Lynch's book, and one of the things that he said is something that we know as traders, but he's obviously a long-term investor, and he was saying, look, don't buy ever a falling knife. Wait for the knife to hit the ground, and then stay on the ground for a while before considering accumulating for the long term, if that's your goal. And I 100% agree with that. Wing says, can we look at the chart of gold? Sure. Symbol XAU. All right. I'm curious what this one is doing. You've been bullish on this one for a while, and I have to say that I'm still bullish on something that's making new all-time highs and closing the month out on the highs. I mean, that is powerful. Gold is the hedge that Bitcoin wishes it was, I guess, at this point. It is really benefiting from the uncertainty around, global geopolitical type things. And Bitcoin is not. So, as of right now, Bitcoin might be touted as digital gold, but it doesn't act like digital gold, unfortunately, when it actually matters. But yeah, as far as gold goes, I don't think that the highs are in just yet. I think that this gets a little bit crazier before it's over. But it is very likely in the end stages of whatever this move is. I mean, this is a move that has been essentially going straight up since March of 2024. So nearly a year of just straight up. There's a couple months of correction right here, but more or less just straight up. And I think it's going to make a new all-time high in April. I don't know how the fuck high it goes. This thing is extremely strong right now, but this is really looking to me like it's the end of a parabolic blow off top. So, new highs, yes, but I would be really careful with something like this, because when it turns around and confirms a local high, it's going to turn around really fucking fast. And it's all going to happen in probably the span of like a week, I would imagine. So yeah, but still bullish here. It's just, this is like the hardest portion of a bull market, is during that last stage of a blow off top. It's like, there's really no limit as to how high it can go, but it just happens so fucking fast. It's very difficult to trade. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. All right, Some G, what's up, man? We've been missing you. We've been missing your name. Tesla 4-hour and daily. We looked at Tesla early. We did not look at a 4-hour time frame. Let's look at that. I'm guessing it's probably down. Yeah, I'd be saying the same thing here as well. Likely this is very likely a lower high right here. I think that this one comes back down somewhere around 250 or so. Not a tremendously huge move, still an overall range within this general trend. So, nothing, at least nothing super concerning just yet. If it starts to come back down below March lows, okay, okay, yeah, I'm wrong, and things, I guess going to come all the way back down to your long-term monthly lows below $200 if that would happen. But for right now, just give it a chance, man. Like I said, I still want to be lenient with most things, favoring the prior market cycle until fully proven otherwise. And at some point, it will obviously be proven otherwise. No trend to last for forever. Anyways, Suyuma Deep Ray. I'm going to call you Ray. Good morning, Ray. Nifty 50 monthly weekly. Okay. Nifty. Yes, there we go. It's Indian. It's the major Indian indice. Wow, that's actually very difficult to say. Okay, so overall, I really do like this low right here from March, and I don't think it's going to be going lower than that, but I do think that you pull back a little bit more from where it's currently at, closer to like 23,000 even. Maybe that's 23,000 even, maybe that's 23,100, whatever. Both of these are kind of one and the same as far as the long term goes. But you are seeing extremes here on daily BBWP. It is a downtrend, and it is another lower high here, and stochastic momentum is turning down alongside this. So I do think that, yes, it does have another downside move. Like I said, could easily come to 23,100. If things get really crazy, maybe you see it at like 22,650, but I don't think that this thing is failing here. I think that this is a very strong low that is forming, but it's going to be ranging on the lows for a little bit of time, faking everyone out. And this is essentially your range. Highs here at about 23,800, lows obviously here at just below 22,000. And you just tested the top side of the range. So what happens after that? Least come to the middle, maybe even the bottom side. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that, man. Also, the stochastic on the Bitcoin chart is forming the fallopian tube pattern. My dick has been flaccid for 2 months straight. Is there any hope? I'm scared. The fallopian tubes pattern. What is this? I need to see this. Fuck, man. I don't know female anatomy. I cannot confirm your diagnosis simply because I don't even know what a woman is. Nobody knows what a woman is except for biologists. Anyways, moving on from there. Let's see what else we got. We have Lenny. He says, hello, sir. In your option, which has the better risk? What? What? I think you forgot to... I don't know if this is a troll comment or not, but I think you forgot to include the ticker, sir. I'm trying to look for your comments here and see if you clarified which ones you're looking for, but I don't see that you followed up there. So I don't know, man. I don't know which one's a better option. Kumar has also had a nice little super chat, but unfortunately, no message. So I will just say thank you, I guess. Oh, sorry. Lenny has gotten back. Okay. Reward for spot over the next few months for XRP. Which has the better risk? Reward for spot over the next few months XRP. Spot what? So I don't think I'm fully understanding exactly what you're asking, but do I think that XRP is coming down here? Yeah, I still think that it's corrective. Still the best chart of the majors, but I have to ask myself, if Bitcoin comes down, is this one not going to come down with it? It's just not like a winning strategy long term. I mean, that almost never happens. So I do, I do think that this one's coming back down here. I do think that you're probably going to see around $2. That's another 10% move from where it's currently at. So that is kind of a big deal. In fact, somewhere between 180 to $2 is where I'll be looking for on this pullback. Should be a bounce there. We'll come back to it after that, after that is met. But as it stands right now, I mean, high, low, lower, high, lower, low. Is this your next lower high here? I mean, if that is, then this thing's actually reversing and we should be expecting much below $2, like closer to 150. But give it the benefit of the doubt again for now. But this one is starting to look a little bit more questionable, let's say, especially coming into the end of the quarterly right here. I mean, that is just a fucking death wick. And the issue with XRP is that all of these rallies have a very limited lifespan, as you can see. It just consistently gives them up as soon as it gains them. So it makes me very to be on the long side of something like this. But yeah, I can tell you exactly where I'd get very bullish on this thing. It's actually very, very obvious right here. It'd be 245 on a daily closing basis above there. Okay, bullish as fuck. But until then, downtrends are setting in on all higher time frames. So have to be favoring the downside. And I think it's another 10 to 20% move from here, to be honest with you, before the next, higher term time frame bounce attempt. And a bounce attempt is not the same thing as a reversal. So I don't know what you're comparing it with, to be honest, because I must have missed the context of your message. But 10 to 20%. I mean, that's in my opinion a big deal. Lenny says or Cardano. It's okay. Like, you can put it all in the same message, or is there like some sort of a limit that I'm not aware of? But anyways, okay, so it's XRP versus Cardano. Okay, well, XRP, I have to say that I think that this one's coming down another 10 to 20%. Cardano, what is this one doing? I think this one's also coming down, also losing its luster. And again, this is why I really hesitate to be bullish on things, even though they look different than Bitcoin, if Bitcoin looks a completely different way, because, well, you're seeing this one come into normality as well. Downtrends again setting in here as well. I think short term, you do see a move down to 65 cents. That is not as bad as the 10 to 20% move that is likely coming for XRP. Still like a 7% move, I think, here. But about 7.5% move right there. But the question is, does it actually break down from there? Let's see what the monthly looks like. I would still give the benefit of the doubt to the monthly as long as it's above this month's low, which is 62.5 cents. I'd still give it the benefit of the doubt, I guess, but Jesus, if it does fail below there, then yeah, it's going to unravel the whole November rally. So at that point, I have to be looking at like 30 to 35 cents. But again, I'd give it the benefit of the doubt, at least in the short term. Let's pray for a tremendously heroic bounce off of like 65 cents. And if it can reclaim just this last high from Wednesday at about 77.5 cents, okay, maybe there's some hopium. But right now, what I'd be saying to you, if you're making a comparison between these two things, I think both of them are going to be coming down in the short term. But XRP will probably come down a little bit more percentage wise. But it's just like, do you want to lose money really fast or just kind of fast? I don't know. But we'll see. Again, there is a little bit of hopium there. Just want to see a tremendously massive bounce off of, 65 cents or so. All right. Out of time says PSTV stock. Nice. A lot of stocks today. Because we have not found a bullish fucking crypto chart just yet. But the stream is young, so perhaps we can change that around. Wow, another absolute garbage fucking chart, man. This one needs to be nuked. Like, I don't make the rules here. It must be nuked. This thing has only ever gone down. It's been around for 24 years, and it just likes to lose, actually. So again, I'd say the same thing about this one as I did about the last really shitty chart that we saw, in that, look, every once in a while you do get your one-off bounces here that are really nice, to be fair. I mean, these are big fucking moves, and they do happen pretty fast. But it, it's gonna, you're much better betting off on it failing rather than being a real reversal. So this thing, like, if the quarterly does close above the last quarter's high, maybe it has another bounce here. But again, it's just like playing with fire on something like this, man. At least that's my opinion. And short term, it does look like it is in one of those bounce times, I guess. It's a really fucking difficult game to play, man, and a lot easier to fuck it up than to do it properly. So just I'd express concerns with that. And it's already pre-market looking like this is going to be a local high. Of course, pre-market is not super trustworthy until we get the real market opening, but yeah, man, I definitely don't like it. It's just the only question is, does it maybe get another one of these like massive bounces and then just give it up again at some point? Yes, but it's a very hard game to play, and not my game. All right, let's see what else we got. We got Mr. Big Ohms. He says lever USD. Okay, so this is a new one. I've never seen this one before. Maybe it is going to be good. It is not. Not very good at all, at all, unfortunately. This one's been in a pretty hefty downtrend. Didn't even really bounce alongside Bitcoin's 10% bounce, so it is relatively weak. It has put in yet another lower high in a series of lower highs that has been ongoing since June of last year. And I have to say the same thing about this one as I have about many other ones. Down is a direction. You will have your bounces along the way. But over a long enough period of time, this one very likely retraces back down to the full all-time lows. You probably get another big bounce there. But calling a reversal off of that is just, you can't call a reversal on something that's never reversed. You can't kill that which does not have a life. Yeah, man. So, do you get a bounce in the short? I mean, shit. This isn't even a bounce in the short term. It's just more down. It underperforms to the upside and overperforms to the downside. Beautiful. Just the kind of chart that I love. RNLV says, do you still stand by the strategies from the Krown Quant program you released back in 2023? I noticed you don't really talk about it anymore. Yes, but the thing is that we actually evolved that program into the automated features that you see with the Quant Prime service, this thing over here. So instead of doing it by hand, we've now been able to put it into code in a script on TradingView, which has massively, massively helped the back testing process, which means that we were able to come up with a significant amount of new strategies. We actually put them in a very specific place on Discord for the people in the Quant Prime called the Quant Library. It's just a fucking massive library of different strategies that you can build off of. So yeah, basically that tool has allowed us to hyper optimize and hyper explore, all the different possibilities with different inputs, different indicators, completely different strategies, just all sorts of things that we did not have access to before. And that's also why we officially delisted the Quant project, a while ago when this came out, because it evolved into this, and this is it's just better. So yeah. Anyways, Crypto Ninja says, MicroStrategy on the monthly. You're gay if you don't. All right. Well, I'm gay if I do as well. MSTR. Let's see it on NAS. Not terrible here. In fact, this is among the better charts that we've seen today, which is very interesting. Now, I do think that this is a local high, and I do think that it is going to be swinging back down here. But do I think it's going to be making a new low? Well, that certainly wouldn't be my first target. I do think it's going to come back down in the short term to 305, probably try for a bounce there. I do think that bounce fails, but this is shaping up to be a nice little accumulation range. Your highs at 345, which just tested, okay. Your lows at around 230, similar to the 200 simple on the daily. You just tested the highs, you just reject from the highs. I think next move is to the downside. I think that this one probably does come close to the 200 simple here, and that is about 250. We're also seeing daily momentum turn down, or probably going to turn down below 320, which it is already trading below right now, 315 pre-market. Again, can't really trust pre-market that much, but with the way that things are looking, I do think that most of these things are really primed for a downside try here. So yeah. Anyways, you were looking at the monthly. All right, let's look at the monthly. I can never hate something that's above all major moving averages, especially on a monthly time frame. So I'll just put it that way. It's got a couple trading days left to not fuck it up, and fucking it up would be going below about 290, or 292 to be exact. 292. Jogan says, thoughts on KTA, Kita, ex-Google CEO invested. Is this a crypto or a stock? Let's see. It is a crypto. All right. It's on Poloniex and pretty much nowhere else. It's not the best sign. It has less than a month of history and the price. So I'm going to say, as far as charts goes, terrible. But we really don't have much information here. That's a really difficult thing about looking at super new charts like this. I can't be confident one way or the other, to be honest with you. But for the history that we do have, which is extremely limited here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in. It looks to me like it's entering into the long-term downtrend. And look, gay ass Elsa has joined us. Oh. How are you doing, Elsa Bird? She just had a she just had a nice workout. Did you do intervals today? Yes. Nice. All right. Her trainer is really whipping her up. But it's good. Anyways, yeah. Again, yes, you're humongous and disgusting, and just stop it. Just stop everything. I'm kidding, okay? Every once in a while, someone will be like, I can't believe you talk to your lady like that. It's like, Holy shit, you fucking lobotomized moron. Have you never heard of a joke before? Like, how is your relationship with your wife? I mean, I'm sure it's sounds really interesting. Can never make fun of each other. That's like half of what me and Elsa do. We just fucking clown each other all day. Like, if you heard the things that she says to me, like, Jesus Christ. I'm not going to say it. I'm not saying it. But yeah, this chart right here, I don't know how I got on this topic, but this chart right here, there's just not enough history to really be looking at it and accurately assessing it. But if I had to, I'd say, hey, this looks to me like it's entering into the doom trend already. Eating up yesterday's attempt at a rally. So yeah. All right, Patrick W says, do you think Bitcoin BBWP below 12% on the biweekly is a good long-term buying opportunity? So BBWP on its own is direction neutral. So it doesn't tell us if it's like a major low or a major high. We look to momentum oscillators to give us a bias on direction for that. So you are definitely right that the bi-weekly BBWP is coming down here. It's at about 15 percentile. Okay, so it is coming down. I do think that it'll go for the full contraction like we saw last year and the year prior than that as well. So I still think that there's some time here. And, as long as Bitcoin is above the 55, I mean, from that perspective, like, it still has a chance, but right now, stochastic momentum is heavily to the downside. Now, again, this takes 2 weeks in order to put in a new, what's it called, tick here, but. So this next point can take a while, but we have been finding the lows for Bitcoin throughout this cycle around this region, the edge of the bullish control zone, for the biweekly stochastic oscillator on Bitcoin, through the past few years since the lows of 2022. So the last time we saw it at this region was on this correction here from summer of 2023. Then the next time was summer of last year. Maybe we get summer of this year as well. Or maybe early on within summer, but that would obviously imply that we need to see it first come down to this region, which is going to take 1, 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 ticks. So that could be anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks. And then it would definitely need to turn up above this region. And right now it's pretty heavy down, as long as Bitcoin's below 102.5. So not happening anytime soon. So as of right now, that actually be more of a concerning bearish signal. But like I said, it's going to take so long for this one to really formulate. We should really be looking around probably the end of, or actually after April. It'd have to be into May, maybe like the midpoint to end point of May. Is the biweekly even closing this week? It is. So, well, maybe it does happen a little bit earlier, but yeah. All right. Nice. Now I'm at the bottom of the chats here. What's up, Sanaz? Sanaz, I saw that you had a super chat earlier. If you wanted to just post your message, I'm actually looking at the bottom of the chats right now, so you can just, or you can also tag Elsa and she'll send it to me too. Daniel Sun says, also getting hammered right now. 1 more hour of this and it's going to be devastation when the market opens. Yeah, I mean, it's not looking good. I'm curious. Does anyone know of a bullish altcoin? Does anyone know of a bullish? Look, I don't care to buy these things or anything like that. But I'm genuinely curious. Like, have you seen a bullish altcoin? Because so far I have not seen none of this. Jojo says, is PA pivots a new or upcoming indicator? It's an indicator that actually one of our lovely moderators here is working on. Bear Nutrition has been working on it for a while, and it's something that I'm really excited about, to be honest, because we've been looking for something for a long time now to accurately define highs and lows and draw assumptions from that. Caretaker's RSI actually does a pretty damn good job of it itself, but this one is like hyper focused on just that problem. We're going to be able to do some pretty cool stuff with it. Personally, I think it's already pretty damn good, but Bear Nutrition is a perfectionist and completionist, and so he still wants to work on it a bit. But I think honestly, in its current state, it is viable and very valuable for defining trends. I mean, whenever this thing flips to a bias here, like, you're better off on betting on that side. For example, this one flipped to a bearish bias here just yesterday on Thursday, and well, price coming down from there. It does. Wait, what? Who? That what? You are so gay obsessed that everything is trans to you. Like, anyways. All right, all right, all right. Let's see what else we got. Uh, we love you to the moon as well, Sanaz. We love you to the moon as well, and back and back. By the way, I see that it looks to me, and you tell me if this is right or wrong, but it looks to me that Iran is actually things are starting to look maybe a little bit better there regarding the current regime and everything, but I don't know too much about that. It's just I actually met a family of Iranians. This was a while ago now, maybe like 4 or 5 months, and they're so fucking nice. First off, and second off, they made it very clear they do not like what the hell is going on there, and that things will be changing. So it's cool to see. Anyways, Matt Harry says, back to the monthly MACD for a moment, all right? Forget where it crosses. The actual highs have all been right at the point where it turns down. Let's see. Let's verify that. I trust you, but let's verify. Okay, so if we count this one right here, this is your first, oh, Jesus. Okay, let me do a whole new chart. Let's just do a MACD focused chart. Let's make a copy. Let's do MACD nuts. All right, great. Okay, let's get rid of the hash ribbons here. Let's get rid of all of this. We got a nice fresh chart to fuck around with. Let's go to the monthly and let's mark off all of the prior times. So I can already see that that's not necessarily true because we did have a downtick in August of 2024. And of course, that was not the end of the mark cycle. In fact, that was literally on the lows from last year, or, from that rally in last year, or the correction in last year. So it doesn't hold up there. It doesn't hold up here. Here's your first tick down. And also your first tick down. So kind of, not really. Again, this one also coming down. It did, this was again on the lows. Like Bitcoin actually did make the lows here. Yes, it traded close to those lows again, but it actually did not make new lows and then made new all-time highs. So I'd have to say that doesn't necessarily work out here as well. Here, of course, it does. It was not on the actual high. It was actually one bar after the high, but yeah, definitely worked. Over here, first tick red. That was coming off of the 2019 rally. That led into the Corona dump as well. So that one does hold up. This one here, happening a little bit after the highs, but yeah, still, pretty good in hindsight. This one over here, yeah, I'd say this is fine as well. Again, even happened, or the highs happened even before it turned down as well. So yeah, perhaps there's some validity to it. If there's one big counterpoint that I could come up with to what I just said, it's that, look, you're getting your second turn down here on this current cycle, and in the past, your second turn down has, well, that's always been the death sentence. So we'll see, I guess. But I'm still holding on to a little bit of hope in myself. Probably going to be wrong, but it is what it is, man. Anyways, can you check out Ave for Syed? Sure, man. Let's see. I haven't looked at this one in ages. I'm curious if I even still have a chart for it. Probably not. Already looks bad. Already looks even worse. Another 2021 shitcoin that is doing the shitcoin chart of destiny. Again, another lower high right here. PA Pivot's getting this one very, very well. Bearish bias below 190. I 100% agree with that. Does this one retest the lows? Does it make a slightly new low? Does it slightly higher low? I don't know, but I would definitely be looking for it to come a little bit lower than where it's currently at, somewhere to this red circle here. Momentum turning down on the daily as well, pending today's closure. If it closed anywhere below yesterday's low, fucking forget it, man. But do I think you're just going to slice through the 200 simple? Nah, probably, at least not on the first pass. So, if it does make a new low, I'd be looking somewhere around 145 to 150-ish region. I'd be at least looking for a bounce attempt there first before anything else. But yeah, hard one to love, especially in the short term. Let's see how far down this one comes in the short term, if it breaks any sort of critical region. I suppose hopium is still alive here as long as you're above the weekly 200 simple. And I guess it really wouldn't take too much to get an upside cross on your weekly momentum oscillators. So there is that. There's a little bit of hopium in the background, but again, I think it's going to test you. It's going to test your. It's going to test you. It's going to test you for a while. Anderson77 says the Bollinger Bands on Cardano are tighter than a frog's ass. Do frogs even have bungholes? This is news to me, sir. I don't think frogs poop. They do it out of their mouth.
How do they do gay sex?
How do they do gay sex? Like, that's your fucking question? I mean, the frogs are gay, apparently. Have you heard this? Have you heard that the frogs are gay? It's actually a big Alex Jones thing, and it's true.
Oh, it must be true.
The frogs have been turning gay. They have been turning gay. It's true. And look, we need more gay frogs. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just be aware that how can you have a gay frog without a bunghole? Nobody knows. Nobody can know. Marcus says, when New York opens today, we will have a party, all markets crashing, short party. Let's look at traditional markets really quick here. Traditional markets have actually been the more obvious of these. And this was really a big portion of driving my bearish bias, but rallies up perfectly to the 200 simple, lower high. Just, I think it's coming back down close to the lows. But do I think it's going to make a new low here? That's really where I hold off on going any further. But we are close to the end of this quarterly here. If the quarterly closes below the last quarterly low, I mean, I want to see, has that ever been a good thing? I mean, this one actually did put in the lows there. This one did not. Maybe not like a humongous death sense, but we'll see how much of the downside gets tested. Personally, I'd really love to get into long-term positions or add to my long-term holdings, because I do like to do the stock market investing for the long term, somewhere down around here, like $18,500, but still kind of far away. How big of a correction would that be? Is that going to be about 20%? That would be nice. Yeah, close to it, about 18%. So I'm interested there. Anyways, TRX, most bullish crypto. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Let's see. Is it the most bullish crypto? And I'd actually have to agree that it is one of the better charts that we've seen today, but I don't think it's going to pull through here, man. This is a very obvious downtrend on the daily. I'd have to be bearish as long as you're below the PA pivot, which is just under 24 cents. But I wouldn't call a full breakdown on this thing until it actually closes below your March 16th low right here. If and when that does happen, okay, this thing should have a relatively quick move back down to like 16, 17 cents, then come back to it after that. But to give it its due share, it has had a different chart here in the more recent times, for better or worse, but I don't think it's going to be doing something different than Bitcoin ultimately. I mean, it really has just been going down since December anyways, so it's hard to look at that as like a sign of strength. It's just, I guess it hasn't dumped as much as everything else, to be fair. Let's see. Yeah, it has had some pretty nasty downside moves there, so fair enough. Okay, Mr. Furling, stop fucking spamming. Actually, just ban him. Yeah, just ban him. Really fucking annoying. Yeah, don't do that, man. It's really annoying. Like, you have to understand, there's plenty of people here. There's plenty of people here, and people don't like when you spam. These are normal things, sir. So unfortunately, we can't look at your whatever highly esteemed altcoin or stock, or whatever the fuck you're looking at it. It's same rules as always. Benny Coins says XCN. Okay, let's check this one out. This is a new one. I don't think I've heard of this. Onyx Chain. Bad. Very bad. Even worse. Again, long term, it is the altcoin death spiral chart of destiny. It never, ever holds on to its upside moves. It only gives them up. And I think that this one is no different. I think short term, you come back down to 8,600 or close to 8,000, whatever this number is here. Maybe it tries for a bounce there. I don't think the bounce is going to bring you back to the heavens. I think that bounce will, over a long enough period of time, fail, and you continue on with the long-term death march to new all-time lows. Yeah, terrible on the monthly. This is very obviously like a macro high right here. I mean, I guess you can wait until the end of the end of March to wait for the closure, but anywhere below like 12. Or sorry, 1.2, 1.3 cents, I'd be bearish as hell over the long term. All right. Complete shitcoin, says James DeWeaver. Apparently, yes. Apparently, yes. Just par for the course, really. It's hard to pick on any one particular shitcoin, right? Because they really all do. They all look the fucking same. Oh, fucking shitcoins, lazy, stupid fucking shitcoins. They all look the same. Ash Mash wants to look at Boeing. Let's look at Boeing. Ash Mash, not Ass Man. Although we did have an Ass Lord before, which was a good name.
We've also had Ass Man.
Ass Man as well. That would be cool. So I remember Boeing got the military contracts to produce the new highest technology airplanes, something like that, or jets, I guess. Seems kind of weird to me to be focusing on that when drones seem to be taking off and are probably much cheaper. But either which way, I see this more as an accumulation range rather than a downtrend here. You got same highs at 260. You got, as of right now, a higher low, and it is the end of the quarter on Monday. So if this thing can especially close above like 190 by the end of Monday, I would actually look at this as a good indication that it is going to continue to operate within this overall range, but I'd have like a long-term bullish bias on it. Monthly stochastic momentum is pointed heavily to the upside. Quarterly is not, to be fair. Weekly is also not. So maybe I should not be optimistic on this one, but I would still say it's an overall long-term range. I'd want to see the monthly close on this one first. If it can close above 190, then I'd say, hey, this thing is looking really, really good for the long term. Maybe not in the short term. It's not going to, give a tremendously massive move or certainly not break these highs just yet, but it would set it up for the long term, I suspect. So yeah. WMO says, what do you think about H-bar? Well, I don't know yet. Let's see. I think you're getting another one of these altcoin death rallies. It rallies up 2 weeks straight up, then down, bleeds it out the whole way through. That was actually more like 20 days. Very similar to Cardano in the short term, in the way that it's been operating here, but I don't have anything different to say than Cardano as well. I do think that this one is continuing on with the sort of short, medium term trend here, and it's going to come down to like 15, 16 cents in try for bounce there. Yeah, somewhere around 15 to 16 cents. I do think that you try a bit of a bounce there, and I'd want to come back to it after that. I mean, if there is hopium, then it should fill out a range like this. Your highs at around 28.5 cents, and your lows at around just under, your lows actually would be here, which is what I think is a little bit more likely. 15.5 to 16 cents, somewhere around there. And if it can hold that, I guess long term, there's a bit of hopium still alive for this LARP line to play out, something like this. But the second that it starts to break below here, is the second that, it does what most altcoins do, just shits out whatever rally that it, that it had. So, yeah. Cool. OM is the strongest crypto, hands down. It actually has been for a while. Let's see if it still is. I'm genuinely curious here to see where this one is popping to. But we did call a high on this one a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I'd still stay with my top call here. This to me is like a major high. The reason why it's a major high is because I am nearly sure that there is bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, and there is indeed 1, 2, 3 lower highs on the weekly RSI with significantly higher highs on price action. I think that this thing is coming down, and it's going to be coming down hard. I think you see this thing closer to 5.25 in the coming month. And I guess I'll leave it right there. Monthly is not super wrecked just yet, so I guess there's still some more long-term hopium, but I do think that your next move is to the downside. Yeah. All right. Fart coin, please, my good sir. Yes, let's look at the farts. The fart coin's doing to be fair, the fart coins actually have been doing comparatively very well compared to most other things, just because, well, it had a 225% rally right here. Jesus, man. Crazy shit. That was just in the past couple of weeks, actually, as well. But I do think that this is the high of your rally. Do you think you're coming back down? See if we have any sort of divergences to be aware of. There's actually just not enough highs to even measure divergences here, unfortunately. the way that I look at Fartcoin is that, you know, it is putting in very likely the next major lower high right here, just around this region. I guess my LARP lines kind of gave it away, but something like this, you know, I do think that it's you know, over a long enough period of time. Okay, in the short term, probably coming into next week or into the end of next week, I think you see this thing somewhere between like 40 to 45 cents. Much more long term, I don't think it's going to hold there. I do think you are going to bounce there, but I don't think that it holds there. And then I think that you will. Yeah, I think you're coming much lower than that, closer to like 35 cents, maybe even 30 cents, maybe even just coughs up the whole fucking rally. Who knows? But yeah, short term bearish, probably a bit of a bounce around that region. I don't think the bounce is going to be a reversal, though. I think it's going to be continuation after the bounce tops out. Peanut, please, for Darcy Lopez. All right. Godspeed on this one, miss. This fucking squirrel is dead as fuck. This squirrel got smoked. Yeah, this is a chart that not even a mother could love. This is actually the worst chart of the day. It's never known what a long-term up. It's never even known what an uptrend is. It just goes down. Hidden bearish divergence on the last local high. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it's gonna come down more. I'm not laughing at you. Maybe she's short. She could be short. Like, it's possible. Maybe she's making a shit ton of money off this. It's good. Let's see. Render. Yeah, let's look at render. I haven't looked at render in feels like many moons. All right, it's at whatever green line that I have here on the weekly. Okay, I think I see. Actually, I think this one's more likely to try a bigger bounce from here. Kind of similar to Bitcoin. Does it retest these lows or not? I think so, but I do think that you bounce from there as well. Yeah, short term, I would feel confident saying this one retests around the lows, but I would give it another chance to bounce after it does meet those lows again. You're seeing the same hidden bearish divergence here, by the way. Let's see, is the hidden bearish divergence also on CME? It is. It is on CME. CME looks like it's CME looks like it wants to put in a straight line to the fucking 200 simple there. Always easy in hindsight. Bitcoin dumping, says MJ. Well, I don't think it's dumping anymore in the past 5 minutes than it has since its stream started, to be honest. But yeah, does seem like it wants some downside, sir. Erica Krown, Nano Cave. What's up, ma'am? Or woman. Nano USD, been holding since 2018. Yes. My nanos will make me rich. I heard it on crypto YouTube because
It could be women and men.
It could be woman and man. I guess it could be. It could also be. Oh baby. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. This is the same chart that you can expect for most altcoins. This was 2017, or this was 2017 over. Wait. I know that there's more history than this, and I want to show it because it's going to be oh so good. Oh, you fucking bastard. No one listed anymore. Of course not. Maybe this thing? Is this it? No, still doesn't have the history, but yeah. I have to say, Erica, it's under whale accumulation, and we will be going up from this exact moment on the inverse chart. Spyro says, hey, sir, what about Beam? I don't know. Let's look at it. See what Beam is doing here. Beam USD. Very interesting. Okay, I'm guessing it's this one. Not good, man. Unfortunately, not good. Again, another lower high in an overall downtrend. You don't even have hidden bearish divergence here because the last high was so long ago. Maybe the weekly will have it. No, the weekly doesn't even have a high recently. Jesus, man. The 2-day does have it. Yes. So I think that this is your next local high here. I think you come back down close to the lows, somewhere like between 700 to 550 or so, something like that. Did you watch Sui? We can watch it, Broodmother. We can watch it. Where's my Sui? There she is. Yeah. I still have to go with the LARP lines here, except I would not count on this part happening. We already got the bounce. That bounce is already turning over. Same hidden bearish divergence here on the daily time frame. Again, you're seeing a lower high below or right at the green 55. I mean, this is fucking textbook stuff, and all major moving averages are essentially in a bearish posturing at this point. The only thing that is still above is the 377. I think it's coming back down to these lows at 2.25, maybe even all the way to the official low at $2. Maybe there's another bounce there. Personally, I still want to be lenient on a lot of these things, at least bouncing off of their current March lows or around their current March lows. And maybe that bounce, reclaims a significant level. The weekly we can see does have potential for hidden bullish divergence here. So, it is certainly possible, but in the short term, I do think you have another downside move, and we see if that creates a new low or not. If it doesn't, then I think those bounces can be pretty nice. So yeah. Krown says every cycle he warns people about altcoins, and every live stream, sir, could you look at Turdcoin? I think it's a winner, but it's 80% down from where I bought. When we're like, guys, my Turdcoin is down 50% every day for the last 5 days. Do you happen to know if there's any news or anything about that? Like, is there any reason why that's happening? It's fucked up, but it does make me laugh. I mean, it's funny. It's fucking funny. And you'll be able to laugh at it too, because we've all made these mistakes. Guys, my Herpety Derp coin is down 10% every day for the last week. Is there any news I should be aware of or anything like this? Please do Sonic. This is formerly FTM, so I'm just going to go to FTM here. A little bit of a different chart over the long term, I guess. I do think you're going to be coming back down close to these lows, but I don't think you're going to make new lows, or at least not yet. I think you have another bounce in you first. But yeah, daily, 2-day, both to me look like they want to come back down to below 50 cents, somewhere between 50 and 40, which is a big range, I understand, but looking for something that's obvious. Monthly, I mean, the monthly still holds here, I guess. That would be kind of the hopium for the longer term. Of course, this shit right here is literally exactly what Krown just said. So it's really hard for me to like these sort of things. I guess maybe if it reclaimed the 5 exponential at 63.5 cents by Monday night, then hopium is still alive, and I could see that pulling through, but it's just hard to be bullish on really any crypto when Bitcoin's doing what it's doing here. So yeah, man. The craziest thing is you've been asked about these coins since 2018. It's true, a lot of them, yes. But it's always different. It's always different people though as well, because the people, when everyone goes through their first cycle, then they get enlightened after that, and that's like the biggest factor in promoting Bitcoin maximalism is just by staying around for more than 4 years. Yeah, people get cultish with their shitcoins. Exactly, Nikki Page. You see it all the time. Like, people create identities around these shitcoins. Like, they create their usernames on Twitter and on Discord and even on YouTube as well, around whatever their favorite coin is. And it's just, the coin doesn't love you. It doesn't know you exist. It's an inanimate object. Your peanut coins are fucked. Can you look at dog go to the moon, please? Dog go to there is unfortunately not on TradingView, sir. My favorite pumping up XYO, if you want to take a look. All right, we can look at it. Sure, why not? We have still not seen one single bullish crypto chart today. And I'd have to say that the trend continues here. Hidden bearish divergence the whole way through. Really weak on this last bounce as well. I think that this one comes back down to the March lows. I think that this one makes new lows from there. Yeah. What do you know? Another failed rally. Crazy stuff. I guess I would flip around to being bullish. I should be giving out this as well, just because, like, even though it's low probability, it's always a possibility. If you can pop back above 1 1/3 cent, then okay, might be okay. Crypto Forever says AI companions, AIC, daily, weekly. All right. AIC. Okay. Whoops. Let's do this. There we go. All right. AI companions is some sort of AI agent narrative. Could be a good narrative play. The good thing about this is that it doesn't have a significant amount of history, and that means that it just doesn't have these super nasty downtrends that we've been seeing today for most altcoins. Do I think it's going to be any different though? Not going off of much here because we are limited in the history, which means that indicators and whatnot are not going to populate on timeframes that generally matter. But, just following the trend here, you got a pretty nasty downtrend, especially as long as you're below Tuesday's high at 24 cents or about 24 cents. I'd be betting on this one coming back down to 17 and a half, maybe even 16 cents. Maybe it tries for a bounce there, maybe not. I don't fucking know, but next move, I'd feel a lot more confident saying it's probably downside. So yeah. All right. What else we got? How deep into this stream are we? Okay, we can stay for a little bit longer, just a little bit longer, I suspect. Crypto Juggle says, I found a bullish crypto coin! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. It's called USDT. Yes, that's it. It's a good one. It's a very good one. I'm short Barra from 840.45 and a half. Let's see. Hopefully this isn't an inverse thing. Unfortunately, it seems like it is an inverse thing. Okay, so you're short from 8.5. Hold on. Yeah, about 8.5. So yeah, you basically shorted the high. Well, that is good. And I do think that you have some downside here. I think you will reconnect with the 5 exponential on the daily, which is just below $8. So I do think that the short term does have a little bit more downside, but I would be looking for at least a short term bounce there. I don't know if that matters to you or not. I could easily see something like this comes down here a little bit more, bounces, puts in a lower high on the bounce, and then comes down hard. I think that that's definitely possible, but we'll see what happens after the bounce attempt off of this $8 or so region. So the majority of the short-term move, I think, is done. And I would be expecting a bounce there. It's just that bounce really needs to reclaim like $8.50, essentially your entry, in order for this one to be considered bullish. But to be fair, I mean, the weekly chart is good. This literally is probably the best crypto chart that we've seen today. So it's very possible that it actually does reverse there and does reclaim $8.50. The weekly's not terrible. It's not a lot of history, but at least it's not terrible. 5-day, probably more corrective in the short term than not. So 5 days telling me that the bounce will fail and probably come down to like $7.50, but that should be a major low. Hard to say here, man. But the easy move is back down to like $8 and then bounce. That's kind of how I'd look at it for now. All right. Benny Crypto says enough people jumping back in on the Ethereum boat. The burn is always bullish and there's no Bitcoin burn scheduled right now. Fair enough. Let's see how the Ethereum chart is looking. I think the price is getting burned, sir. I don't think it's working, man. I have to shoot you straight. I don't think it's fucking working, man. Hidden bearish divergence. Again, this one's overperforming the other majors to the downside. I think that this one retests the March lows. I mean, again, we're coming into the end of the fucking month here. If these things were going to reclaim, you would have expected Ethereum to really at least hold above 2,000. I mean, a lot can happen in 3.5 days, of course. So I don't want to be too premature here, but the short term is down. How much bounce can you put in after a couple days of that? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to reclaim any sort of critical region. I think you're generally going to be coming down somewhere between 1,500 and 1,600, and that's like the big bounce area. Wouldn't necessarily say that it's like, yeah, quarterly. This is not fucking good as it stands. I think you go lower first before any sort of major potential macro low is put in. I can be wrong, of course. I can be massively wrong about anything. But that's the way most things are looking today. Take a look at at Jupiter. We can do that. Actually, I have it on my list over here. I used to follow this one, not any longer. Yeah, terrible, man. Broke down below its long-term range. That would be 63 cents. as soon as that happens, like there's no more hoping for something like this. The LARP lines are just are untenable at that point. Down is a direction. I think this thing retests March lows. There's going to be bounces along the way, but this thing is entering into like the long-term death spiral. You got the quick pump over here that gives up, leads into a lower high here, and then down. I mean, it doesn't really get much worse than that, to be honest. There's going to be bounces along the way, but this thing is heavily bearish as long as you're below $1, and that's literally a 2x move from where it's at right now. So it could bounce up a lot and still be bearish, is my point. Weekly bearish silver cross on Ethereum. Let's see. You're right. Yeah, it did happen back here. The daily silver cross to the downside was really fucking good for Ethereum. That one happened way over here at 3,300, 3,350. And it has survived the whole way down. Jesus. The daily silver cross for Ethereum is actually really, really good now that I look at it. It's really fucking good, really consistent. Wow. Impressive. Very impressive. Good eye on that. How's XRP? We that one earlier. Still think down, probably around 180 to $2. Probably tries a bounce somewhere around there, sir. At least that's what I'd be looking for. We got Drew next. He says Sol versus XRP. Okay, so we're looking at two cryptos versus each other. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, wow. I do think you're going to get a bounce relatively soon. Yeah. So if it bounces, what does that mean? It means Solana will gain versus XRP. But long term, the trend is your friend. I guess, well, maybe it's your friend, maybe it's not, but the long-term trend is down. But, I do think that the next move is a general bounce. Maybe it digs out these lows a couple more times. I don't know. But I do think generally you're not going to be going much lower than what it's already done for March. And it's going to be a bounce. And then just be on lower high watch, like anywhere in between here, which is like 110 to 160. It's a humongously massive range, of course, but, kind of have to be with these things. So, yeah, I think generally you're going to bounce out of this region and then come back to it after that. But long term, I'd still be bearish on Sol versus XRP, actually. So maybe a signal in and of itself. I don't know. What's up, Fingless? You are indeed an OG, sir. You have been an OG for a long time. And of course, we love our OGs. We love our OGs. I even know where you live, sir. Well, not like your actual house, but, I know the country. I'm not going to fucking dox him or anything like that, but yeah. Krown, you big hairy man, please check block V, symbol VEE. Let's see. Oh, that's a Vanguard ETF, I'm guessing, but you're probably looking at this thing. Okay, there's a lot of V's. There's a lot of V's here. V's and Z's. What was the actual name again? Block V? All right, let's try it. Just typing in that. Not looking like it's on TradingView, my man. Link going to $12 says Krown. Let's see. Link. I think it is going down, and I think the super obvious target is actually $13. I think that gets hit like with a very, 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 very high probability. Does it go all the way down to $12? Definitely possible. I mean, all major moving averages in a bearish posturing here. Hidden bearish evidence. You're getting bearish signals on a downtrend on a generally bearish chart. Hard to be bullish on that. It's had its bounce off of the weekly 200 simple. Like this is what always makes it very difficult for me. Like I really don't like getting bearish into a major moving average like this, especially on a higher time frame. But at some point, is it going to break? It looks to me like it probably does. But I can't, I just can't get bearish when you're on something like this. I want to see it broken first. Again, that means I'm going to be a little bit late to the party. And if and when it does break, I'd be looking back towards like $10, maybe even lower. I mean, but at least there should be a bounce around $10, like a big one. So yeah. All right. Solana versus XRP bearish divergence target. I don't think there is bearish divergence on Solana versus XRP. Let's see. Oh, there is. Oh, no, wait, no, I just did Solana versus Ethereum. I'm like idiot. Okay, there we go. There's not bear. I mean, look, the bearish divergence was back here from November on this high. That's already the whatever target that you might have had. It has not just hit that target; it has exceeded that target, and you have to wait for something new. You have to wait for another drive of bearish divergence if it even happens. I mean, that's going to be a tall order for this thing at this point, I think. So yeah. What's the monthly stats for Bitcoin now? Are we going for another red month? What do you mean? Like, what's the probability of March being green? Let me bring it. Let me actually reference it here. I actually forget. Okay, just going to destroy your eyes, by the way, with this. What month are we in? We're in March. Yes. Okay. Go back. Yep. There we go. March has basically been a wash. March has been almost 50-50 in terms of whether it's likely to close bullish or bearish. Average loss has been around 10%. So let's see how that kind of looks for things as of right now, keeping in mind that we still have a few more days left. Yeah, I think that this one's going to close more or less unchanged. So I don't think you're going to see either one of these hit. Obviously, it's been pretty consistent, 10% on both sides right now. I think it's up maybe like 1 or 2% from the open. Yeah, 2% about. So don't have much to say about that. Let's see. Pink Kombucha says, Krown, please, derpy, please, can you give us your opinion if September, October altcoins will come back to December 2024 highs? No, I think that most altcoins have topped out for this cycle. If you're in question, like the better thing to be assuming is that 90, maybe 95% of altcoins have topped out for the cycle, assuming that the cycle is not dead. If the cycle is dead, then obviously they've all topped out. But I'd feel very, very confident saying that most of them certainly have seen it, for this cycle. I wouldn't say it about a lot of the majors, but, here's a great example. Fartcoin, like, is this going to be reclaiming the December high? Like, probably never. Probably never, to be honest. I mean, this is log scale as well. Or sorry, this is regular scale, so fair enough. But, peanut coin, like, is this thing ever going to get anywhere near its prior all-time high? No, it would be lucky to even trade up to like 35 cents. I just don't see it happening, man. At least not for this cycle. And, usually if it doesn't make a new, like from cycle to cycle, most things aren't going to make new highs anyway. So you could also extrapolate that statement and say, not only is it the high for this cycle, it's probably the all-time high for most of these things for their whole life. Again, 95% of stuff, I'd generally just say that. And that's a major something that I'm making as well, that Bitcoin bull market is still on. Now I still run with that assumption personally. So I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. But if Bitcoin takes out the March lows, you're going to see me switch around really fucking fast. Turbo Daddy says, howdy, sir. What's up, man? Please analysize CO1. You like your crude lights. I will need a lot of analysis on this, sir, because I actually really dislike looking at oil. It's not that I dislike looking at oil. It's just I don't like trading it. Anyways, yeah, here's the same chart that we've had on this one for a while. Let me actually redo the bottom boundary of this just to make it a little bit more obvious. There we go. Overall bearish. Yes. This is declining highs basically since 2022, right? But you're coming off the bottom end of this formation, whatever you want to call it. It technically is a descending triangle. So, have to be looking for a bounce here. I think it could bounce up a little bit more very easily. Could easily bounce up to like 72, 73 bucks, I suspect. But long term, I'd have to be bearish on a chart that looks like this. The one counterpoint to what I'm saying, however, is that gas or crude, just these sort of things in general, they do not really play that technically. In my experience, like they do weird stuff. So while I do think the next move is a bounce, I would have to say I'm more inclined to be bearish on it. But the area, if you want to go just by pure technicals, to get full on bullish on it would be if it can trade back above the January high, and that's all the way at just under 81 bucks. So it's got some work to do, sir. It's got some work to do. Should I invest in Bitcoin right now? I'm new to this. Good fucking luck, sir. Jesus Christ. No. I mean, look, it depends on your strategy, depends on what you're trying to do. Obviously, you're new, so you don't even know what the hell you want to do. I'm not like making fun of you or nothing like that. Like, obviously, anyone who comes into trading or comes into crypto or any of this stuff who is new is not going to, intuitively know these sort of things. But I would say, look, man, if you want to invest for the long term, I think you get better prices relatively soon. If even if you want to do that, can it come down more like later on? Sure. But, I'm still holding on to my own hopium that the bull market is not gone just yet. Like I said, I need to see objectively below March lows. So yeah. Ethereum rising from the ashes, the rare green phoenix. Ethereum been waiting on that good news all year. Are we in the same universe? I don't know. It's rallying on the 5-minute. Holy shit. Moon and beyond. Yeah, I don't think so, man. I have to respectfully disagree, or at least we're not seeing eye to eye on this one. That's what I can say. Monero looks decent. Let's see. Wow, Monero's been delisted from almost all major exchanges. It definitely looks different than most of the other majors, but I do think that you are putting in a top here as well, to be honest with you, or at least in the short term. I mean, this really does look like another lower high. You got hidden bearish divergence forming as well. So if today closes anywhere here or lower by the end of the day, anywhere below 220 especially, I think your next move is to the downside, somewhere between like 200 to 210. Not like a tremendously nasty move. You can hold on to hopium, or at least I can hold on to hopium as long as this thing's above the 200 simple, which is 190. So it is in a much different place than most of the major cryptos. But I do think in the short term it does come back down a little bit here, at least. And if it takes out the March lows, you can expect that pullback to come much further south. I'd say 175 to 180, probably bounce there and then maybe lower after that. But yeah. The monthly is not terrible here though, but still got another few days left to go. So hopefully it doesn't fuck it up before then, because that would make me still more or less optimistic on the long term, in that this short term pullback would just be an opportunity. So yeah, like I said, as long as above 190, hopium is still actually the more probable thing, I suppose. MJ says, if you are new, only thing you should buy is Bitcoin if or when it drops. Yeah, like I was very lucky when I got brought into this sector, because the person who brought me in very specifically told me basically like almost the first thing that I learned is, look, everything besides Bitcoin is mostly worthless. Yeah, they can go to the moon and beyond, but you don't want to be caught holding these things. And he's been right. I have to say, he's been right. I just blindly trusted him, to be honest. Like I didn't fucking know when I first came in, but he's been 100% right. Anyways, you're holding puts on Boeing. All right, fair enough. I do like playing the defense stocks. I mean, I do invest in the defense ETFs. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense to me. But again, those are very, very long-term plays. Short term, I think a lot of these things are coming down. Do you think it's a good time to short or long right now? Fuck no, dude. Like the reason why I say is because you're asking the question. Like you have, I'm not trying to speak down to you at all in this way. It's just, this is why a question like that, despite the good intentions that I'm sure that you have, is just so fucking misguided. So one, should I long or short right now? It's like, what is your fucking strategy, man? If you're just borrowing my conviction for putting on a trade, you don't know why I entered, you don't know why I'm going to exit, you don't know where I'm going to manage risk. You probably don't have the same preferences as me. We're probably not looking at the same time frames as well. Like, it's a bad habit to get into, man. It's a bad habit to get into. The only thing that matters for trading, not YouTube analysis, but for trading, is to define a setup, test that setup, and then execute that setup in the exact way that you tested, assuming that the testing results were acceptable. And you can make any sort of crazy strategies, with that general formula. But yeah, man. Boca is great, but Fort Lauderdale is where it's at. Man, it's interesting you say that, Jennifer. So many people have tried to turn us away from Fort Lauderdale. I'm curious, like it looks absolutely fucking gorgeous, but I'm just curious. Oh, yeah, maybe hurricanes. Yeah, could be an issue. I mean, Boca's going to have, it's on the coast as well, but I think it's more built for hurricanes. Call or short. That's right. We're doing calls or shorts. You want to look at block V? We can do this one. I think this is going to be the last one as well. V versus Ethereum. This. Oh, you're right. It is there. Okay, cool. Let's look at it versus the dollar. And okay, we have a chart that actually is significantly different than most things today. Still in a weekly uptrend, but it's like, how much do I trust a chart like this? I don't know, man. I probably don't at all. And again, this is versus Ethereum. So that doesn't necessarily mean that this thing's going up versus USD. But yeah, I do think I'm inclined to say that the correction continues on a little bit lower towards a 200 simple at 1.5 cent. And then probably a bounce there. And then if it's going to be bullish, we'd expect that bounce to be reversal. But yeah, I do kind of think the short term tries a little bit lower and then has a big bounce. I really don't feel confident on this chart, though, to be very, 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 very clear. Got to shoot. Thank you, sir. All good, man. All good. Go to St. Augustine. I think we definitely will once we move over there. It looks really, really cool. It's not somewhere that I think we'd be. Yeah, I don't think it's like a place that you live in, but it does look really, really cool, and I love historical shit. So for me, that would be a great little experience. All right, guys. I think. Are you not a fan of Dubai anymore? Yeah, it's just not perfect for me. I need something more close to nature. I don't want to be in like a big city like that. I don't really like the people there, to be honest. Like in general, obviously I do have some friends there who I think are great people, but in general, I don't really like the people there. I don't know. It just feels weird. It just feels weird being there. And also, I don't know. There's a lot of good things about the UAE. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. I just feel better elsewhere, to be fair. And like the small things there are not great. Like the air quality, you can't drink the water, of course. I mean, that's true for most places, to be fair, but we are blessed here in Finland. These sort of things, walkability, not so much. Yeah, Dubai's great if you're going to party a lot and if you're looking for like a rich man to latch onto. That's a really good idea. Lots of that there. But yeah. Anyways, did Trump actually bring in the 0% capital gains tax? Not that I know of. I keep on seeing these rumors that Trump is going to do this and that with Bitcoin, but all of them have been false thus far, especially the ones with the U.S. government buying Bitcoin. Like people were so excited. Like I don't even follow the news too much, but even I knew this in that the Bitcoin strategic reserve was not never, but certainly at the beginning is not going to be the U.S. government buying fucking Bitcoin. That's not happening. That's not happening anytime soon, if it even happens. Or the government's going to sell its gold and then buy Bitcoin. Like, not fucking happening. Like, they're just going to hold on to the Bitcoin that they seized. The reason why I knew this is because I listened to the person who was setting up the bill with regards to that, and they literally said, like, no, the government's not going to be fucking buying. But yeah. There's lots to do in Fort Lauderdale. You can be in the front seat with your hands up, or you can be in the Everglades with nature all on the same day. Yeah, that's what I love. That's what I love.
It needs to be close to Disney World.
Needs to be close to Disney World, says Elsa. All right, last one from Meeker's Media. Last one. He just snuck in here. I've been worshiping your hairy back for 5 years. Please check Trump coins all time frames. Do you mean just the Trump coin? I don't know. Let's see. I haven't looked at this one in like a month or two. Wow. Surprise, surprise. A meme coin has gone to a shitcoin hell. I have to say I'm bearish as fuck on this thing, man. It's literally never known what an uptrend is. All bounces have been for selling, especially recently along the yellow moving average, which it just hit recently on hidden bearish divergence. I have to say that the trend is likely to continue here, sir. And you know what? That's where we're going to leave it for today. If you want a recap of this analysis, just fast forward to the beginning 20 minutes of this video. I'll also upload it a little bit later today as well as its own video. And with that said, I want to wish everyone the best of the best. It's been an absolute pleasure on this nice little Friday. We'll continue on with the live stream, schedule on Tuesdays and Fridays. And as always,